In the winter of 1959, 9 experienced young hikers from the Ural Polytechnic Institute, led by Igor Dyatlov, set out into the frozen wilderness of the Ural Mountains in Russia. Their goal was simple: reach the remote peak of Otorten. They had done dozens of difficult expeditions before. This one was supposed to be challenging, but nothing they hadn't handled. They laughed, took photos, kept journals, and trekked deeper into the snow-covered mountains. The group pitched their tent on the side of a barren slope known as Kolatshyakal, meaning dead mountain in the Mansi language. On the night of February 1st, the hikers pitched their tent on an exposed ridge. The wind howled relentlessly. Temperatures dropped far below freezing, but inside the tent, everything seemed calm. They cooked, joked, wrote in their diaries, completely unaware of what was coming. Sometime during the night, something happened. We still don't know what, but whatever it was, it terrified 9 experienced mountaineers so deeply that they slashed open their own tent from the inside and ran into the darkness wearing almost no clothing. Weeks later, when rescuers reached the abandoned camp, they found something disturbing. The tent was still standing, but cut open. There were footprints leading down the slope, barefoot, socked, one-shoed. No drag marks, no signs of struggle. Just footprints, walking calmly at first, then spreading apart into the forest. Something had driven them out of that tent in blind fear. About 1.5 kilometers down the slope, near a cedar tree, rescuers found the first 2 hikers. They wore almost no clothing. A small fire had been lit beside them, a desperate attempt to survive. 3 more bodies, including Dyatlov, were found between the cedar and the tent as if they were trying to return but froze along the way. But the real horror came 2 months later. The final 4 hikers were discovered in a ravine, buried under several meters of snow, and the condition of their bodies shocked investigators. 1 had a fractured skull. 2 had crushed chests with injuries compared to a car crash. 1 was missing her tongue. 2 were missing their eyes. And there were no external wounds corresponding to the massive internal trauma. It was as if the force had struck them from the inside. The deeper investigators looked, the stranger it got. Some clothes contained traces of higher than normal radiation. Some hikers were found wearing clothing belonging to others. The tent showed signs of being abandoned in seconds, not minutes. The official Soviet conclusion at the time: a compelling natural force. Nothing more. Over the decades, hundreds of theories have emerged, but none of them fully explain the combination of panic, bizarre injuries, and unexplained details. One theory claims the hikers walked into something they were never meant to see: a secret Soviet military experiment. The northern Ural Mountains were remote, silent, and during the Cold War, filled with classified military activity. Engineers tested weapons in hidden valleys, far from villages and prying eyes. And the hikers' route? It passed close to areas that were restricted, unmarked, and never officially acknowledged. One of the main ideas behind the theory involves parachute mines, airborne explosives that descend slowly by parachute before exploding above the ground. These blasts create blinding flashes in the sky, powerful shockwaves, and internal injuries without leaving external wounds. Some witnesses in nearby regions reported strange glowing orbs and flashes in the sky on the same night. Considering this scenario, if the hikers thought bombs were falling, their reaction makes sense. They would cut the tent open and escape immediately, losing precious seconds to put on boots, jackets, or gear. They ran barefoot, socked, half-dressed, as if escaping something urgent, something deadly. But there are holes in this theory. If a weapon detonated near the hikers, there would be a crater, there would be metal fragments, trees would be broken or scorched, snow displaced in a clear pattern. But at Dyatlov Pass, there was nothing. No blast marks, no scorch marks, no shrapnel, No signature of an explosion. It's hard to believe a military test happened without leaving any physical trace. Other than that, one of the hikers was missing her tongue, and 2 were missing their eyes. These injuries don't match shockwaves, pressure blasts, or high-impact explosives. There is another theory, which says they were driven not by what they saw, but by what they felt. Infrasound. Sound so low that the human ear cannot hear it, yet the body senses it. Your body suddenly believes it's in danger. Dyatlov Pass sits near the slopes of Kolat-Syakhl, a mountain with a strange, sharp ridge. Strong winds that night may have struck the ridge at just the right angle, creating a rare aerodynamic effect called a Kármán vortex street, swirling air patterns that can vibrate the atmosphere. These vibrations generate intense infrasound waves. But even this theory has problems. Infrasound may explain why they left the tent, but not the severe internal injuries some hikers suffered. It doesn't explain radiation, or missing soft tissue, or why the group didn't regroup after the panic faded. The infrasound theory solves one part of the mystery, how they left, but it doesn't explain what happened after. One theory says it was something far more familiar and far more deadly, a rare slab avalanche. Unlike the giant avalanches seen in movies, a slab avalanche can happen quietly. According to this theory, strong winds that night may have caused a buildup of extra snow above the tent. The hikers dug into the slope to set up their camp, unintentionally weakening the snowpack. Hours later, a heavy slab broke loose and slammed into the tent. The hikers believed they had only seconds before the entire mountainside gave way. In panic, they cut through the tent and escaped downhill. But even this theory isn't perfect. It doesn't explain the missing eyes and tongue, why there were no clear signs of an avalanche at the site, or why they camped on a slope known to be dangerous. There is one more theory left. This theory suggests that whatever forced the hikers to flee their tent that night, whether a sudden danger, a loud noise, or pure panic, their real battle began outside. The brutal cold of the Ural Mountains shows no mercy. Within minutes, their bodies would have begun to shut down. Hypothermia creeps in slowly, then suddenly. Hypothermia is not just feeling cold, it is the body losing its ability to protect itself. As the core temperature drops, the blood vessels near the skin tighten to preserve heat. But in the final stage, when a person is close to death, something horrifying happens. The blood vessels suddenly open up. Warm blood rushes to the skin. The person feels a wave of intense heat, like they're burning from the inside. Their brain becomes confused. Their body is shutting down, and they believe they are hot. In this state, many victims tear off their clothes. This is called paradoxical undressing. According to this theory, the hikers may have experienced a sequence like this. First, the initial reason for fleeing the tent, still unknown, still debated. Second, exposure to extreme cold. Third, rapid onset of hypothermia. Fourth, paradoxical undressing in the final, fatal stage. Fifth, others using the discarded clothing in their own fight for survival. This is the moment where tragedy overtook them. But like every theory, this one has its gaps. Paradoxical undressing explains why some hikers remove their clothes, but it does not explain the internal injuries, the missing eyes, the missing tongue, or the unusual levels of radiation. More than 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass Incident remains one of the most haunting, unsolved mysteries in modern history. 9 hikers walked into the mountains, and what happened on that freezing night has never been fully explained. Their story lives on, carved in snow, buried in ice, and whispered by the cold winds of the Dyatlov Pass.